Hey, peace, world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. My name is Wood. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you like the way any of the information is being broken down, discussed, previewed, analyzed, presented, so on and so forth. Do me a favor, hit that like button, maybe leave a comment. Anyway, just this is some really light work, man. Just some boxing talk. Doesn't matter. Well, I won't even get into that. 5 topics. I saw that the Dillian Whyte Alexander Povetkin rematch was scheduled for November 21st, 2020. White was stopped, in the 4th or 5th round? In the 5th round, I believe, back in just in August. So a 4-month turnaround. And my thought on this was just, I see people out there, critics, fans, pundits, whatever, it's a quick turnaround. White is, has been adamant about, it's no big deal. He just got caught. And at the end of the day, I guess my thing is this. It's his career. If he was to take some time off and come back, or get a fight in and come back, whatever, I mean, there's no guarantee. I don't know what the rush is for, because there's no guarantee. You saw that his mandatory status didn't mean much when he had it. And if you come back and get the victory, who knows what it does for him in terms of lining up a title shot. So salute to that man for doing what he wants to do with his career. I did go back and look, though, Lennox Lewis, now that it's Lennox, he lost to Oliver McCall. He was stopped by Oliver McCall in a questionable TKO 2 in September of 94. I'm sorry, yes, September of 94. He didn't fight McCall again until February of 97. That's not really the case that I'm bringing up, but I know that fight was out there. But the big one was some parallels is that Lennox Lewis was knocked out in April 2001, 5th round knockout by Hasim Rahman. They came back and got that together in November, the rematch in November of 2001, where, Lennox Lewis, obviously came back and got the KO in 4 rounds. That's 7 months. So, again, Povetkin, White is probably thinking that, he was dominating the fight and it all went sideways, early in the round, whether it was the 4th or the 5th. I know I wrote it up, but I'm drawing a blank on it. But I know he's like, I was controlling the fight. They do things differently over there, man. They look at records differently. They fight with different motivations over there. They also, obviously that BBBOC handles, PEDs differently as well. So it's a different universe, man. They do things differently. And like I said, salute to that man if that's how he wants to handle it. We'll see what happens. The other interesting piece of news out there was that former undisputed welterweight champion Cecilia Brækhus is not going to go quietly into that I don't know, I messed that saying up, but she's not going away into that quiet night. She has exercised her rematch clause after losing to Chicago's Jessica McCaskill. That fight is going to be scheduled for early 2021, and I'm glad, because I really don't know who I had in that fight. I didn't really think that Brækhus did enough to lose her belt per se. I think there is some credence there's some credence lies in the fact that she was overseas away from her home, Norway, I believe. And also, she was in a state with not the greatest track record with boxing, with her being out in Tulsa. And obviously, I've been to fights down in Cincinnati with a sketchy group of people that actually scored the fight. I'm not going to even tell you who these judges were. I'm not even going to mention the two roles that they occupied that night and cost the heavyweight down in Cincinnati a victory. But the volume of McCaskill could have easily swayed judges that don't have a big history with boxing. But again, Brækhus, she didn't really give a great account of herself that night anyway, with being bigger, with being longer, taller and whatnot. It was some things that she could have done, very easily to retain her title, whether it was via decision or whether it was a decision or a draw, a unanimous or a split decision or a majority decision or a draw. And she could have done things differently herself and had more of a say in that. But it's dope that she's coming back. She took a couple of, she's taken 3 weeks or something to think about it. I don't think McCaskill beat her so decisively, or handily that she shouldn't want to get it on. She was also in an extended camp out in Big Bear with Abel. And, we've seen a couple of these guys. We've seen Ramirez and Jamel Herring come off of these long camps and just not be great. So, again, we don't give these fighters, these international fighters, we don't give them a lot of credit. We give 0 Fs, that they're fighting on foreign soil and, often with a lot to lose, and they come out of these situations with the short end of the stick. So it's interesting. We'll see if they have fans at that and whether or not Brækhus can end her career in a satisfactory manner for herself. Item number 3, Erickson Lubin versus Terrell Gausha is this weekend. I'm excited. I always like Showtime Boxing, man. I'll admit it. I dig Showtime Boxing. Kind of settling in on what I think of Abner Mares in replace of Paulie Malignaggi. That's a different story. But I'm interested in this fight, man. Super welterweight has been my favorite division pretty much for about 3 years now. It's kind of slowed down a little bit, but it's still a very exciting division. And these guys actually fight one another is a major plus for this division. Gausha is an Ohio guy from up in Cleveland. He's been out working with Manny Robles. Manny Robles played a significant role in helping another Ohioan in Trotwood, Ohio's Christopher Pearson right his career. And Gausha, he's only 1 loss, 1 draw. Probably should have got that victory against Austin Trout. But my thing with Gausha personally is that I just don't know if he's not as assertive as I like my fighter to be. That's just my position. And I think Lubin is an interesting cat. It's great to see that he's rebounded from the first round devastating knockout by Jamel at the hands of Jamel Charlo. He made easy work of Nathaniel Gallimore, and he's like the ideal super welterweight in my opinion. He's southpaw though, not to hold that against him, but it's a good fight, man. That's a really damn good fight. I don't know if I have a winner there. I'd probably edge it to Lubin a little bit, but Gausha is an Olympian, an experienced guy who, he can't afford to lose another one, so I'm sure he's going to give his best effort. And solid coach in Robles. He also, Robles was a key man in the Ruiz win upset of Anthony Joshua. So that's that. And then also on that card, man, Jaron Ennis against Abreu. Juan Carlos Abreu. This fight tells us a lot about one of the hottest guys in that division in Jaron Ennis. But, this guy's been in there. Abreu had 2 losses to Mean Machine, Egis Kavaliauskas, as well as Alexander Vesputin. So I expect him to go some rounds. And if he is knocked down, I expect him to at least get up once, maybe even twice against a Jaron Ennis, and we find out something about Boots. And again, with facing guys like Besputin and Kavaliauskas, that allows us to start putting some thoughts together on how Ennis could move forward against the elite in the division, which he thinks he proclaims himself to be an elite and an avoided man in that division. So business wise, we got to figure out how it can work out for him as he tries to go to the upper echelon of the division. But like I said, I'm interested in learning what we can find out from him against Juan Carlos Abreu this weekend, who's 33 years old. So that's dope. King Tug is also on that card, I believe. The fourth one that I had to say, man, I haven't said a lot on here on YouTube about my thoughts on Canelo and DAZN. I'm really not going to go into much more either. I saw the initial lawsuit was dismissed based on some homework that his lawyers needed to do. But it's just been interesting sitting back, and it continues to be interesting. DAZN has to feel like black people a little bit when black people are talking about social injustice and lowercase Black Lives Matter and police brutality. Nobody's trying to deal with all the bigger issues in this country. It's just trying to deal with this one specific thing, and other groups, mainstream America continues to say something else, and add on to that. And DAZN kind of is in that same picture. Like, we were just trying to put together we were just trying to provide boxing to American fight fans in an affordable manner. That's it. Now, you can go and say they picked the wrong dude to head it up in Eddie Hearn if you don't like him. You can say they overpaid people. And then when we get to Canelo himself, you know what? The Canelo-Kovalev fight was pretty much, it was a promotion. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't great business for DAZN, for his partner in DAZN, who's guaranteed him one of the largest bags in all of professional sports and provided him with all this security. And Canelo and his team go out here and put together a promotion in fighting Kovalev on short notice. A man who was just within a combination from yard of being retired. And then we see him next against Canelo, and I'm supposed to think I'm supposed to be over the moon with that fight, which it ended up being an 11th round TKO. The only reason I didn't complain was because it was $10. Otherwise, that fight did nothing for me. We talking about a dude that this lawsuit comes up just the second fight into an 11-fight deal where you're making a minimum of 35 million per fight. And now I got to go out here and pick sides. As a fan, to go out here and pick sides and who screwed this situation up. That's crazy to me. Wow, anybody, and I heard NBC Sports Network is getting ready to have like 3 cards in this fall with a new player, a new platform coming into boxing. But it's got to be, this is probably will be example number 1 for anybody else looking to get involved with boxing. And I'm not saying that DAZN did not make some mistakes. Mainly, they didn't have a boxing person on their side to kind of, to green light all this stuff and approve this stuff and to try to have better quality control on their product. But, they did a lot. They were well intentioned, but we know good intentions. What is that? Pave the road. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. So, it is what it is. Lastly, before I get on out of here, man, I see this split between Breadman and what's his name, Stephen Edwards, and J-Rock. I mentioned this, maybe it was on Instagram, but I listened to a podcast, Michael Woods' podcast, when Stephen Breadman Edwards was on there. And one thing that they said about the camp when they were going into the fight with Jared Hurd, one thing that J-Rock said about the camp was that they were really vocal. They said a lot. They shared a lot. They talked a lot. It was a lot being said. And, he just showed it. And I can show you the pictures that I took at the weigh-in. It was 25, 20 guys over there in Jared Hurd and Washington football team colors. They were the Redskins at the time. And J-Rock, it was Breadman and maybe the Cut Man and like one other dude. Very small unit. And what I noticed in going into this fight against Jason Rosario was that J-Rock was like, I'm going to run him over. And then we see what happens on fight night. And because J-Rock actually had to sell that fight a little bit more. But then we get in the aftermath of the fight, and Breadman Edwards pops up on this podcast, and I'm like, why is he sharing so much? And I can't remember what his comments were specifically, but I took away from it that he wasn't too impressed with J-Rock's. Something didn't go right in preparation. And then Breadman basically says some stuff like, all of that didn't matter. Like on fight night, you had to find a way to overcome all of that and have a better showing. And I just was like, damn. And then you look at what was said between Ernesto and Jared Hurd in the aftermath of that loss at home. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, that there was no reconciliation between those two. Jared Hurd is now with K. Karama. But now I'm looking at Edwards and J-Rock, and I was like, how can they move forward as a team? And, now we're finding out they're not moving forward as a team. It looks like, from what I understand, J-Rock has fired Breadman. Who does he go to? And he says he has next. He said he's been promised. Well, that's interesting because the Lubin-Gausha winner is supposed to be next. But J-Rock says this. He said this on paper on the Ak and Barak show, and at least one other source. I want to say the PBC podcast. He said this on paper that he has a rematch, or he has the winner. So we'll see how all of that irons out in the PBC universe. But who does he work with? Honestly, you might disagree with me here, but I think his name is Chino Rivas, Tevin Farmer's trainer. And he was also with the Josue kid, the 140-pounder on Top Rank's bubble several weeks ago now. He ended up, the kid's father got ejected from the bubble because he broke the protocol, and Rivas, I think his last name is Rivas, had to stand in as coach. Rivas knows the game. And I like the way that he communicates with Farmer. Now, if you want to say, Rivas might not have big time, experience, whatever. He was in a couple of championship fights with Tevin Farmer when Tevin Farmer was fighting 5 times in a year. So he's been there. But I think he knows the game. I think he also trains the Stephen Ortiz kid out of Philadelphia. But he's a Philadelphian, for one. And he's no bull, and he knows the game. And I don't know who else J-Rock honestly could go out and get. I mean, a guy like Barry Hunter, maybe. I mean, all the big names. He can have his pick from all the big names. But I don't know, man. I feel like Coach Chino would be pretty decent fit. And I didn't even mean to go this long. Was new. It was 5 topics, but that's it, man. Bite down boxing. Don't let them count you out. One.